So that's always a prediction that's very difficult to make. You know, relying on what we've seen in the past for similar sized projects, you could see a multi-mile backup depending on the time of day. And again, I think you've heard from Massport has been advising something like, you know, up to 2 hours in advance to get to your destination. In general, what we recommend for everybody, if you have a time critical appointment, give yourself a lot of extra time to get there if you have to drive. It's going to be a difficult couple of months for sure, and the more people that are off the road, the more manageable it is for the people who don't have those opportunities, whether they need to have their truck because they're a construction worker or if they're traveling off hours when the T's not running. We want to preserve as much pavement space for them as we possibly can. So really, we're asking people to do as much as they can to get, if you do have to drive, take one of the alternate routes that get you around the region. And really, first and foremost, though, take advantage of the public transportation options that we're providing. So the first, whenever we do a major traffic change, the first 2 weeks are the most critical period. That's when traffic settles in. That's when we can identify anything that we may have. Despite the best laid plans, people are going to travel in different directions than we expect, so we may identify some problem intersections. Traffic volumes, though, statistically are going to all return on July 10th. That's when it's going to be heavier. In general, next week is pretty light, and in general, the summer is pretty light by comparison to the rest of the year. But I think anybody who's been on our roadways knows that there is a lot of traffic volume out there right now. We are back, in general, especially around the Boston region, to pre-pandemic levels, and in some cases, it exceeds those now. So people really need to be mindful of the fact that there's going to be extra congestion, even despite providing all these other modes of transportation. Our hope is that it's not going to be any longer than they normally are because so many people have taken other modes of transportation. But it's very difficult to predict. If everybody does come back that we expect, I mean, if nobody diverts, let's put it this way. If you get all 40,000 people showing up and trying to get over the Tobin Bridge and trying to get through the Ted Williams Tunnel, you will have extensive backups. The exact amount is really hard to predict, but again, our goal is to get people to divert and to be out of their cars and onto other modes. So I can't speak to that specific incident. I'm just not familiar with it enough, but we've been working really closely with public safety, fire, police, EMS. We've done a lot of different what they call desktop exercises, which we work hand in hand with them to identify any possible scenario so that first responders know what to do in the event of an unexpected situation, whether it's a fire or an ambulance call or whatever it may be. And the other big piece that we have here, I mentioned the command center earlier, that is set up so that we can, in real time, if there's an incident, we have people watching the cameras, watching these specific intersections that we know can be problematic, and radioing ahead and clearing the way so that people can, so that first responders can get to where they need to go faster.
You mentioned that 2-hour additional time to get to the airport. People might think that's ridiculous, but is that a realistic expectation?
It is a realistic expectation. You know, at the end of the day, we want to make sure that people make their flights. And in addition to thinking about passengers getting to and from the airport, and in addition to being highly focused on public safety, we also have to make sure that flight crews get to the airport, that cargo makes its flights as well. So that's why we're advising an extra 2 hours of travel time just to make sure that everyone makes the flights they're trying to make.
So we mentioned those 13 intersections that we're keeping a close eye on. Those are ones that we've identified in part through our experience with weekend closures. 1A in general can back up pretty far if everybody's trying to funnel in there. So those 13 intersections plus again 1A in general is where we'd expect to see the predominant amount of congestion. So again, one of the big goals with working with first responders is try to address their specific needs, and making sure that the main point of having the extra ambulances on standby is that the critical point in addressing any public safety issue is to get them to the scene quickly. So having them there in East Boston, able to get to somebody who's in trouble quickly, is the number one priority, and then getting them to the hospital after that is, again, with the command center, with the ability to expedite them through problematic intersections and such. That's really our goal. Yeah, well, whenever we do projects on the toll road, there's definitely a toll revenue loss. I can't tell you offhand what that number is right now, but there is some loss that we've already built into our projections. All right, thank you, everybody.